Hey, what's going on? It's Keith from Trigger Happy, and tonight we're going to talk about calibers, and especially for semi-auto. I've got 6 different semi-auto rounds in front of us. We're kind of going to talk a little bit about each one and what's the pluses and minuses of all of these. You've probably heard a lot about, well, one caliber's best, this one's better than that one's no good, whatever. So we'll look at each one and kind of talk about them and see which one might be the best for you. So we'll start with the smallest one. I've kind of got them lined up here basically in terms of power, least powerful to most powerful, and we'll kind of go from there. The first one is a 32 ACP. It's kind of an older caliber. It's also a 7.65 millimeter Browning. You might have heard of it that way before. It's pretty small. It's not a super powerful cartridge, but you can still find a lot of guns that shoot a 32 ACP, and there's nothing particularly wrong with it. The ammo is a little more scarce than some of the other more common ones, so you might find that even though it's a smaller caliber, you will pay a little bit more for those. Next is a 380, and this became popular several years ago. It's also called a 9mm short. 380s are a big deal in terms of concealed carry weapons. Definitely on the lower power side. It's not a huge bullet, and it doesn't move extremely fast in terms of velocity, but it's a good small caliber round. You can buy a lot of guns in this caliber. Ammunition is still kind of hard to come by. Some of these can run you anywhere up to $18, $19 for 50 rounds. That's not uncommon if you can find it. Third is the 9mm. Probably the most common caliber you'll find for semi-autos. This stuff is easy to find, cheap to shoot. We've got stuff in stock as low as like 13, 14 bucks for 50 rounds, so it's not real expensive. You can do everything from target shoot to competition shooting. It's kind of a preferred round of a lot of people because it's a fairly decent defensive round. And it's, like I say, it's relatively easy to find. So probably the most common caliber would be the 9mm. Next we've got a 40 Smith Wesson. This is becoming a preferred round of a lot of police officers. It's a pretty heavy bullet. It's 165 grains for this one versus 115 grains for the 9mm. Is pretty standard. It's got a lot of the common characteristics of the 9mm in terms of size and weight, roughly, but it's got more stopping power, closer to the next guy on the list. Pretty common. You can find this pretty much everywhere. It's a little more expensive than the 9mm, sometimes $17 or $18 a box. You can find it on sale occasionally for $14 or $15. Pretty good caliber for home defense. You can find some concealed carry guns in a 40 Smith & Wesson. I actually like this caliber myself. It's one of my favorites because lower recoil, and you can still get a fair amount in a magazine. So you've got magazines out there that'll hold 15 or 16 of these. So pretty good caliber, the 40 Smith & Wesson. Next up is kind of the favorite of just about everybody. That's the 45 ACP. I mean, you'll see it's big, it's beefy. It's a slow moving round, 800 to 900 feet per second. It's just a massive bullet. It's just big, heavy. Does a lot of damage. You're not going to find this in many smaller guns, obviously. Most of your 1911s are chambered for a 45 ACP. It's a good round. It's getting more expensive. I'm finding that 50 rounds can easily approach $20 and then some for a good home defense round like a hollow point. You can be well over that. So good round. Then the last one is probably the least common of everything here. This is a Super 38. I just bought a Super 38 myself. This is a super powerful round. More powerful than the 45 in terms of sheer energy. It shoots at up to 1,350 feet per second, so it moves very fast, and this is a nasty bullet. These are pretty hard to find. Most gun shops will not even stock these. You're going to have to special order them. I'm going to grab some ammo because, quite frankly, I want to shoot it myself. So a very uncommon round, but great nonetheless. You're going to find this pretty much exclusively in the 1911 platform. Most of your newer models, like your Glocks and Smith Wessons, are not going to be chambered for a Super 38. So that's kind of 6 semi-auto calibers. So the question is, which one is best? Well, that's debatable. If you're talking about sheer stopping power, you're kind of down here, 45, Super 38. Those are nasty. So if you're talking about a home defense gun, they're fantastic. The Super 38 would probably be a little better if you're talking about a competition round. It's super accurate, much less recoil than a 45. It's just a great all-around bullet and round, but it's hard to find, so that's a big knock on it. If you're talking about capacity, you can find guns out there that take a 9mm and will take 18, 19 rounds, so you can pack a ton of 9mm. It's super common, good all around. These guys down here, 32 ACP and 380. Obviously the 380 would be better in terms of power than the 32, but I'm not a huge fan of either one, just because they don't have a lot of the knockdown power that some of these guys are going to have down here. So just kind of to look, if we get down here and you can get a good look, I mean, you can see there's a big difference in these guys. And you know, they all have their good points and bad. If I was a first-time gun buyer, I'd probably go right here for a 9mm, because I can go out and have all kinds of fun with that for a relatively low cost. If I was wanting something strictly for home defense purposes that I might put up and not mess with much, I'd probably go with a 45 or a 40. Those are both adequate rounds. So when you hear people say, well, one is clearly superior to the other, that's not necessarily true. You know, my wife, if I handed her a 45 and said shoot away, she's not going to enjoy that. It's a powerful round. There's a lot of recoil there. It's not a good round for a beginner. So, you know, I might start her out with one of these guys, a 32 or a 380, because it's going to be much easier for her to handle. So it's all about preference, and no one is really right for anybody. So when you go in a gun shop and they're saying, you know, you're crazy for carrying a 9mm, if you don't have a 45, you're wasting your time, I completely disagree, because if my life's on the line, I'd much rather have this little 32 ACP than nothing at all. Because, you know, somebody breaks into my house, any gun, heck, a 22 long rifle or 22 mag is highly superior to nothing at all. So it's all about, you know, what you like and what you want. So we stock all these. So if you're looking for ammunition and it's kind of hard to find, we're about as reasonably priced as anybody out there. So yeah, we're not Walmart, but guess what? Go to your local Walmart and try to find some of these. They don't have it. I went into Walmart there a few days ago. They don't have any of this stuff. They had no 9mm, no 40. They had one box of 45. So, and they certainly don't have Super 38. I'll guarantee that. So, you know, we're not trying to be Walmart, but we do stock all this stuff, and it's available right now at Trigger Happy Guns and Ammo right here in Belpre. So check us out on Facebook, Trigger Happy Guns and Ammo, or give us a call, and we'd like to see you in here in the shop and do business with you. Thanks a lot.